My name is David Norris, and I'm a candidate in the forthcoming Senate election for Shannon Éireann. I was first elected in 1987, and at the moment I'm Father of the House, which means I'm the longest serving member. I may not be re-elected, but if I am re-elected, I will be the Father of the House, as I was at the last election. That puts me in the Cathaoirleach's chair, and I control the business for the first day, including the election of the Cathaoirleach and all this kind of business. But I get to make a speech, and I want to make a speech about really reforming the Senate, because I think what the people voted for was not to keep the Senate as it is in the hands of the political parties. I think they voted for a reformed Senate, and that needs vision. Now, I saw that Micheál Martin said that what they needed in the Dáil was considerable Dáil reform to give us an independent and professional Dáil. Hear, hear. But that's what we want in the Senate as well. We want an independent and professional Senate. Now, that does take vision, because no political entity will normally give up power voluntarily. And they have the Senate like that, the political parties. So it needs an act of imagination to give up the power and to produce, as Micheál Martin said, a professional, independent Senate. Well, there will be a whole series of issues. The first one, of course, will be the reform of the Senate. That is crucial. The other issues flow from that. But I would like to look, for example, at the transport system. The transport system, particularly in Dublin, it is a crazy mess. You know, you cannot get anywhere now by motor car. There is a hatred of the motor car at central level. Now, I suppose a lot of undergraduates think, oh yeah, great, we hate the car too, we like the bicycle. I have no problem with the bicycle. But I don't see why people who live in the inner city should be discriminated against in terms of motor cars. Then, of course, a really, really significant issue is abortion. I was the first politician in Ireland to put abortion in a manifesto in 1977. I don't think abortion is a wonderful thing. I don't think it's something that your life is incomplete without having had one. But I recognize the real human situation of the women involved. I cannot understand the arrogance of a third party who will presume to tell a 13-year-old rape victim that whether she likes it or not, she has got to keep that fetus to term. To me, that is her decision. If she decides to keep it, then I honour her. If she decides not to keep it, then I completely respect that. I feel the same about fatal fetal abnormality. I mean, there are people who are pregnant with what is, with all due respect, just a cluster of cells. It has no spine, no nervous system, no brain, no sensation. And how a third party can say to that person, you've got to keep that for 9 months. It's intolerable, in my opinion. I think that person has the right to choose. And I think the same for victims of incest. So that will be another major situation that I would be interested in. And the other thing we have to think about, of course, is the environment. You know, one of the things that amused and interested me, and I said that when I was launching Green Week in Trinity a few weeks ago, not a single mention of the environment throughout the entire election. Not a single mention of climate change, although it's all around us. Even in Ireland, we see these catastrophic floods. You know, and people never mention one of the principal causes, which is the population explosion. I mean, the population of this planet has tripled. It is multiplied by 3 since I was born. I mean, that's an astonishing thought, and it's one that should make people very worried about it. People talk about production targets and increases in exports and increases in manufacturing, all this kind of stuff. Has it never dawned on them that we're living on a comparatively insignificant, tiny little planet that has finite resources? And you obviously, any nincompoop can see that you cannot have infinite expansion if you have finite resources. We have to have sustainability, and none of this overproduction and so on and so forth. The other things that we have to look at are, of course, the question of homelessness, which is a terrible, terrible problem in this city. But I recognize it's a difficult one. I mean, I said during the crisis, at the very beginning of the crisis, I called for the establishment of a junior ministry to be the Minister of Home Security. Not Homeland Security, this nonsense about terrorism they have in America. Home security, so that Irish citizens would be assisted in being secure in their homes by the government they elected. And I think it's a tragedy that that wasn't taken up. Yes, but gay rights was always an important part of what I was doing. We've largely achieved equality in Ireland, and for that, may I say, I'm extremely grateful, because the gay community on its own, about 10%, we couldn't possibly have achieved it. It was the generosity and decency of the general population, and I'm deeply grateful for that. And it was so moving to see wonderful people that I had known were gay, like Leo Varadkar, like Ursula Halligan, coming out, getting the courage to come out. And there's still bullying, there's still this and that, but the main thing is, now that we have, by and large, our independence, we must turn our eyes to the rest of the world, because it's still only in a minority of countries that gay people have their full human rights. So now we have to look at the situation throughout the rest of the world. I mean, I received an honour of some kind, I can't remember what it was, in London, in the Foreign Office. And the ministers that spoke of that, they all said that as a matter of form, they routinely raise with countries and governments across Africa and Arabia and so on and so forth, the question of gay rights. Even though it's not welcomed by very many of these people, it puts it on the agenda. And that's what we have to do. There are still circumstances where gay people are outlawed, they are tortured, they are murdered, their families destroyed. It's a terrible, terrible picture for some people.